Go live. And we are, and we're live.
Oh no.
How's it going, everybody? Yeah. Oh no. Freak out. Somebody in the chat give me a thumbs up if we're good on comms. Wait a few seconds. Oh, you can. Maybe. This is one of the things about, like, when I watch Drinking Bros and all those others and they're going live, they kind of give it, let it simmer for a little bit.
Gotta let it breathe.
All right, we're good. Okay, cool. All right, well, welcome to the podcast, for the One's Ready podcast, that is. And so we got a live Q&A going on. We're just going to start wrapping into your questions into the comments. I'll moderate. I think it looks like Aaron and Trent can see them, but I'm not sure what they can see. So we'll go from there. And then also, if you aren't on YouTube, but you're on Discord or even the old Gram, shoot us some messages and we'll do our best to answer it. I was thinking about trying to go live on Instagram at the same time, but I don't really know how that would work.
That's the hallmark of any good idea. Is like way late in the process coming up with something wacky of like trying something new. That's always a good idea, Peaches.
Well, it's like getting a piece of equipment that's very complicated right before you're stepping out the door on a deployment, and they say, "Hey, why aren't you using this?" Well, because I didn't receive training on it.
I've never seen this because I never showed up at my doorstep, right?
Oh man! All right. Well, hopefully my temporary studio handles this. So, where can we get that Peaches shirt? Well, we may have to create a new one, or just because if you guys aren't tracking, we're changing vendors right now, and there's some transition going on. So it takes time because, believe it or not, Aaron actually has a job. Trent has like 75% of a job, and I have like no job at all. So, I mean, what am I doing with my life? I don't know. But yeah, we'll get merch up there going again. We'll have the flags. We'll have the One's Ready T-shirts. We'll have the even hotter SR shirts, and we'll get that going.
Right now. Can they get even any hotter? I don't understand.
They can't. They cannot.
Okay, so first question just popped up from Josh Hollywood. Training or general advice for anyone wanting to join at the age of 30?
Is he trolling us already? Is that the first question?
Yeah, I hope so.
Right out the gate. Right out the gate. What's the day-to-day like, Trent?
It's a little, I don't know. Just join at 30? I mean, you're 30. Just join. Stop wasting time and do it. I don't know.
Definitely don't waste any more time. Like if you plan on doing it, like do it now if you can, because as you get older, that drive is probably going to decrease, if you will. And do it before 39.
Yeah, you were definitely not getting any younger, my friend. So pulling that trigger now. Like, we can give you all the advice in the world from Taylor Starch about your zone 2 and 3 training, really helping you and focusing on joints and not necessarily lifts, like all these other things. But we've covered it so much that there really is only, one answer left. And that's just like, hey, you gotta start. You got to get in there. Like, this journey is not getting any easier with you not doing anything about it. So there you go.
Yeah, for sure.
But what specifically should he be doing as a 30-year-old before he joins? Like 6 o'clock in the morning, what should he be doing?
We just started.
I missed you guys. I haven't been around for a while.
You have been gone for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have. How is it having the family back together now? I know it's been a while since we've had the band back together with us, but
I know
it's got to be good having the fam back, right? Having a wifey.
Yeah, I mean it was weird, like I have a family again, and we have to do stuff and priorities and vacations. It's a good time. So got to get back to work next week though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird when even Simsaf Bass knows that your wife was deployed and you're out reintegrating.
Well, for anybody that's met my wife, they know that she is definitely the driver in this relationship, the person worth knowing in the relationship, and the person that does all the work. So, if you've met both of us, like Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force Bass has, she understands.
I love it. My favorite
More than
part about
likely.
any my favorite part about any reintegration was finding out how incorrectly I've been doing things for the previous like 5 months. You know what I mean? Like, why are you doing it like that? What have you done? And it's been working. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And my partner's always like, well, you're not doing it right, bud. That's not it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then you just go on with your life. That was always my favorite part.
I
Well,
will
that
say
or you're interrupting. Like for me coming back, I totally interrupt the regime and the programming and everything. And I'm like, well, and don't question why you're doing it. Like, hey, I've been doing it for 6 months without you, just fine. Don't come in
Hmm.
here now as you get back and hey, we're gonna do it this way. That's
Peaches,
that's not good.
Peaches just kicks in the door, and like the first thing he says, like, "Why are you doing it that way? What is going on here? That's not the way that I think we should be doing things." That's the key to a successful reintegration.
Yeah. It really, really demeaning too. Like, why would you do it that way? Like,
Just as
come on.
condescending as possible. Just
Yeah.
mansplaining every process. Like, okay, well, this is coffee. I like to drink it in the morning. It's supposed to be hot. You just go hard in the paint. I don't know how we started talking about this, but welcome home.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's for me from Buck. Is it too personal? To ask what I plan on doing once I retire. That's a good question. I mean, how awesome would it be to get like some kind of Spotify deal and just keep doing this? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's still a little ways away. Um, probably 2 years away, but we'll see what happens. I still got to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. Kind of, and I'd be willing to bet that Trent and Aaron are actually there's no way they could probably, and I'm speaking for you, but there's probably no way that you guys could pinpoint what you're planning to do after this, after you retire.
Nah,
I can't believe you put me in the same category as Trent, first of all. Trent, of course, has no idea what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing for lunch, like let alone the 3 year plan. However, you would be surprised. Trent every once in a while will go on a rant and he will just like lay out a solid 2 year plan and then just be like, "Sorry, man. Sometimes I start thinking about stuff." And I'm like, "Where did that come from?" you just you just rip off a solid 15-minute rant about like intense logistical stuff. I'm like, how long have you been thinking about that?
well, I mean, you guys have to deal with the other 90% of this just chaos and nonsense, and then every once in a while something worth us, but it takes time.
Does where has Brian been? Brian is in and around. He's just super busy and so we're just pressing on because if not, you guys just wouldn't get content really. But yeah, he's still around. Family's doing great. Um, this one's for both of you guys. What do you ask your barber when you get a haircut?
Still here?
Nice, Trent.
It's the only frozen for
Yeah,
me.
Trent, go ahead.
I say I want the Trent Segmiller special, and obviously they know what that is. Actually, I was thinking it's weird that I kind of take pride in the fact that when I'm walking out of the barbershop, I look like the people that are walking in to get a haircut. But I don't know. I say leave the top alone mostly.
That's pretty much it. Even it up. That's it. And oftentimes I will say, just make it look like I barely got a haircut. Can you do that? And the barber's like, yep, got it. I'm like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I
Keep
don't
my
know.
boss off
I don't
my
know
back.
what you guys are talking about.
Look
Yep.
at that
Oh,
beautiful head of
look at
hair.
those locks.
Yeah. Um, let's see. This one is from Garrett. He's asking about scoliosis, if it's a disqualifying factor. So you guys all know that we can't necessarily answer, medical questions because there are so many variables involved in that, and we are also not medical professionals, and we are not the folks that check you off. But I did hear something that you can have scoliosis up to about 3%, which I don't even know what that is. That's just what somebody told me. Take that for what it's worth. I don't know. You're gonna have to leave it to the folks at MEPS to tell you that. But I do hope the best for you. I know that it can be disheartening if you're getting disqualified for something that you can't really help. Let's see, y'all. We should try and get a guard CCT and a guard SR so that we can understand the domestic side on the guard side of the house. I agree. I think we should.
Hey, Mr. Shovelbottom, just throw us a couple names and we'll get them on. There you go.
There you go. I love that response too, because I've used it a bunch of times. They're like, "Oh, you should get this person." I'll be like, "Cool, just reach out to him for us then." I don't know how do I get that person on? I have no idea. Especially like the more famous. They're like, "Get Goggins on." Oh, okay, cool. Do you have a number for him, or do you just?
Dude, I'd love to dig into the mind of Goggins, since we kind of like that's kind of the space that we operate in. Mental stuff. Like I would love to get down and dirty with him.
I do not operate in the Goggins mental space whatsoever.
No?
I'm sorry, Peaches.
I think that would be hilarious as Trent, just to have you and Goggins like sit in a room and just see what happens. I would just sit you down. Be like, "What are we doing here?" Be like, "Just waiting."
For one of us to quit?
What is wrong with you, dude? Yeah.
Yeah. I went out for, I've been in Vegas now for almost 3 weeks now, and it's starting to heat up. We've had several days over 100. Midday, I just told Donna, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to go out for a run." She's like, "Why? Why would you go do that?" I'm like, "I got to adapt. Taylor Starch. I got to adapt." That's literally all I said to her. She's like, I don't understand. I was like, "Oh, Taylor Starch, he's been on the podcast." She goes, "Yeah, and I don't watch your podcast, so
right.
like I don't know who you're talking about, but enjoy your run." She goes, "You're not taking Maggie the dog because she'll die." I'm like, "Yeah, I wouldn't do that."
You just got shamed. She shamed you for fitness. That's fit shaming. Oh, man.
Let's see. Here we go. Edward Martin, going to special warfare orientation course this summer. Do you have any tips? Trent, do you have any tips?
Hydrate.
Oh yeah, summertime in Texas.
It gonna suck.
It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be very hot out. Those courses are pretty like there's no advice that you need. I mean, it's an orientation course. Like they're meant to give you a small look into what special warfare is. It's not meant to be an attrition event. Like you'll get to do cool stuff. We at the PJOC we used to do, rope work. We would let people rappel, like obviously under safe conditions and stuff. And we would take them out. They do a sear block, so we teach them land nav. So usually it's more fun than anything else. So I guess my advice would be just to have fun. I don't know. It should be a good experience.
Yeah, don't get behind the power curve for hydration for sure, because you'll be hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Aaron,
no flags.
Where do they put the thing to check your core temperature, in case anybody's wondering?
Trent, we have talked about this. Okay. First of all, I am not any good at medicine. I'm basically bad at all the core skills. Okay. I want to put that out there first. Second, you're just doing this to get a rise out of us because you haven't been on the podcast in a little bit, and you're just itching for a fight, and you got to stop it.
I just thought it was weird that when Peaches said there were no medical professionals here, you didn't pipe up.
Right, exactly. I think I hit on that.
All right, I'm sorry. Moving on. Peaches, I apologize.
Oh, yeah. JF Mac just moved into a new place, so I haven't decorated. In fact, if you could see this room right now, you'd go, you would know that I don't really have my life together. I've got boxes of Legos here.
Boxes everywhere.
I've got, man, I got amazing hats dude.
What?
Yeah. In fact, this is staying on.
What is happening?
As long as I don't get too hot.
Why
Hey,
didn't
my
you get that
grandmother
fantastic
knitted this.
bee hat? No way.
Oh yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, this room is an absolute wreck right now.
I take a hard left turn into a different podcast. I don't know what's going on right now.
All right. Let me try to get to some more
A
serious
hard left to do
questions.
a different podcast.
So this doesn't look like that's a question. Sam Hall, are operators born or made? Ooh, is that a nurture versus nature?
How much
Yeah,
time
I
do we
mean,
have
obviously
here?
they're made. They're made. Like you have
Yeah,
to have
they're
inherent traits, but come on, like nobody's born an operator. Jason Bourne, that'd be hilarious. That'd be funny. But I mean, it's
See what you did
that
there.
movie type of stuff. That's not real. That's why we have pipelines that are years long in order to teach you the skills to do that. And I use the operator term loosely because that's kind of cringy to say at this point, but is what it is.
but you do have to have. I don't think it's a born thing. I still think it's a made or a nurtured thing. But you do have to have some kind of inherent where you enjoy some kind of pain, misery, or whatever it is. Like you enjoy being uncomfortable, and you actually, I think, at least I have found that I enjoy discomfort more and more as I get older because in my mind, I think that I'm like, I recognize it in myself that I'm getting weaker, I'm getting soft, and it kind of makes me want to go crush myself even more. I don't know. That's probably some kind of mental illness, but yeah.
Well, and I think we all have those traits. That's what we're looking for at ANS, right? Like we're looking for those grit attributes. We're looking for those things. Like so, I think there are some things that you're inherently born with, right? But we just know we're like, hey, I think we can make that into an operator. It's like the buy versus build, sort of thing. But I also like doing those hard things. So I will give you my co-signature on this one. But I like doing those things more and more now as well. Just being like, hey, am I really like, how is my fitness? I'm going to test that out, or uncomfortable situations, hot, cold, stuff like that. It's good. Yeah. But I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, and we've been over this before. It's the range of personality types and people in the community is pretty wide. There's a few things. There's a 5% or whatever that we all hold the same, but there's like super nerds and super whatevers. Like we're not all the same people.
Right.
I think it gets confusing sometimes for people to come on here, and we've all been in for a fair amount of time, so we've all reached like similar conclusions on a lot of subjects. But like we didn't all get to those conclusions in the same way. Like I don't operate or work the way that these two guys do, but just based on experience, we've all kind of ended up in similar places, thinking similar ways. But yeah, people different.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm going
Ashton
to a,
Solomon. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to answer a question. He asked about a spinal fusion. Man, again, we can't answer those questions just because it's
Nerd.
really Aaron's fault because he's not a medical professional.
Because I'm no good. I'm no good at medicine.
Because he's
And
terrible.
we tell people this all the time, but here's our thinking behind it, right? Like imagine if we were wrong. Imagine if we were like, oh yeah, you could totally get in with that medical ailment. I've seen 100 people do it before. How high would your hopes be? And then like we own that. Like we're basically co-signing onto that information. That's why we don't do it, because we've seen. I mean, I can't imagine, Chief Peaches, how much you've seen since you've been in since the Korean conflict thing. There's so many examples of the cookie not crumbling the right way. Like I just talked to a really good friend of mine, J Mac. What's up, J Mac? Called me last night. He was with our friend Scott Leroy, who lives somewhere in the world, right? So he was like with Scotty, and it was this whole thing. Scotty, it was like he went in and got seen for eczema, like when we were in the pipeline together, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, man, you are out," and they like straight up medically retired. There was nothing he could do to stop that train from moving. It was just a wacky, and he's an awesome dude. Like should have been a PJ the whole thing. He was great. He was crushing it, and it's just funny to talk to him 20 years later now, with J Mac of all people. So it was a funny phone conversation. But
On the on
um,
the on the opposite side of that, though, imagine if we tell somebody, "Hey, there's no way that you could
right,
get in with X thing," and then you could have made it in. You could have been the next Rob Gutierrez or John Chapman or whoever,
right.
and like, and we just on an offhanded comment on something we know nothing about just ruined your chances. That's why we just try and stay clean and say we can't answer those questions.
Yeah, Peaches has been
Besides,
gun
I know
shy
more.
since he told the guys that the Chosen Reservoir was going to be a real nice place to stay for a while. Ever since then,
Oh boy.
It wasn't even a good joke. I just had to throw another career reference in
Just
there.
another bar with peaches for no reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let me catch up here. What does recovery time look like at ANS, i.e., is there time to roll and stretch for muscle recovery and reduced injury? Maybe Trent?
Trent. Yeah, I was gonna say Trent. You're the closest. I'm totally deferring to you.
So it depends on the phase of ANS that you're in. There are going to be times that we're going to try to minimize the amount of recovery that you get on purpose to see how you react to that. And we've talked about this before. It's all about how you prioritize, right? So if the three of us are in ANS and we actually get some free time after we're done with all of our team stuff, Peaches is going to go for snacks. I'm going to go to sleep, and Aaron's going to roll out. So that's the way it is.
Dude, how did you nail that?
You nailed
Exactly.
it. You absolutely crushed that too. Yeah, man. Kudos, Trent. Good job.
I can go really well without sleep. But I need to eat.
You got to eat, dog. You have to. And I'm the complete opposite. Like I'm fine. Like just the way that I normally eat. Like without food. Like I'm totally okay with that. And then sleep. Usually I'm pretty good without sleep. But I hate the wind. If you put me in a windy environment, that is my Achilles heel. I hate the wind. That's weird. Doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. It's just I wanted you guys to know that fact.
Just the wind.
I mean? Yeah, I hate it. And it's the worst.
Oh, FR's in the chat. What's up, sir?
What's up there?
Yeah. Dude, he's always, I chatted with him on the phone for, I don't know, a good half hour a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
You want to talk about a dude that I want to say he's had damn near every beret, at least in aspect war. I mean,
I know. I keep telling
we should probably
talk about it.
Yeah. I know. Be a whole nother RJ Casey kind of thing.
I know. I will credit FR with this too. Is when I was working for him when he was my commander, he got rid of staff meetings, and it caused like a little bit of like rumblings and stuff because he literally was like, "Are the slides updated? Okay, well I'll review them on Monday. If there's something important, I assume you're not just waiting till like 9 o'clock on Monday mornings to tell me, right? Like you're elevating these things appropriately and you're doing what you should be doing. And if you need my decision on something, my door's open. You know how to get a hold of me. So why do I need everybody together and spend an hour and a half talking about it?" And I was like, yes. Yes, you're the best of all time. But I've totally stolen that from him. And so FR, shout out. I appreciate you. Thank you. I stole your get rid of meetings that I could just review on my own as a slide deck at my leisure. So it was awesome.
Question from Malik in the Discord channel. What is the peacetime mission set of aspect war between all the career fields at the moment? Or is everyone only just training for the next great threat? You want me to take that one? Sure, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
So difference between guard and active duty. Guard obviously has their domestic and their state mission and that kind of stuff, as well as all the different titles. And I won't bore you guys with this now, but there's different titles of authority and titles that guard, active duty, and stuff like that fall under. So that to the side. What our active duty units are doing right now is we're still deploying. There's still locations that we are deploying to, and we always have an aspect or special tactics contingent that is deployed. I just won't say what locations on here. On the other side of that is when we're not deployed, we're still training. We're still going TDY. We're still taking care of taskings that the Air Force needs, that SOCOM needs. We're doing joint combined exchange training with other countries and other nations, kind of doing that partner building and ensuring that we as in America remains the partner of choice among our counterparts. That's really what we're doing. So you're still jumping, shooting, shoot, move, communicate, driving, whatever it is, practicing medicine, doing, man, I almost slipped up and went, almost had a little breach there. You do some SR things too, so
little spillage. I'm gonna call you Lil. That's your new rap name with that B hat.
Little Spill.
Your Lil Spillage.
Oh my
And I just want to put something out there too. Like I think people are using words in ways they're not meant to be used. Like when we say peacetime, can you
Here we
tell me?
go.
Are we? Yeah, thanks. Are we in? Are we in peacetime right now? Like people are like, "What's the peacetime mission?" Like I'm sorry. Like my training schedule is pretty busy. Like I don't know if you know the geopolitical environment that the world seems to be in, but I mean we got pacing threats that we really have to worry about. We have things that are going on in parts of this world like we have to give our attention to, and we have to solve some really complex problems. So I don't know why everybody has this misconception that we're in like peace. Like I just go to work and we're like, huh, well nothing to do today. I guess we'll just sweep the floors. Like like we're busy guys. There's a lot going on. Trent, go.
No, I'm gonna change the subject a little bit, but like it spurred my memory. I'm sorry, that was great, Aaron. I love you. Um, I was watching the cave documentary the other day, and we had OB on here talking about the Thai cave rescue, and it got me because the whole peacetime mission or whatever. And if you watch that documentary again, I think one of the things I wanted to put out there into the world was the part that the PJs or the AFSPEC war guys had the biggest part to me was when the civilian divers were thinking about quitting and were saying, and it's real easy to miss in the documentary, but the Air Force guy comes up and goes, "Yeah, but what if it wasn't impossible?" You know what I mean? And like it's such a small part of the documentary, but I watched it again because some friends were talking about it at a party, and I went back and watched it. And I think very few things to me encapsulate the community better than that like one statement. Because these guys are like, "That's an impossible thing. We can't do it." And one of our boys is like, "But is it though? Is it?" You know, and kind of kept that train rolling. Just want to throw it out there.
No, I dig it, and man, I wish I could do Chief Robbie Bean some justice on this, but he was an NDOC instructor when I went through, and he was a staff sergeant at the time, and he was telling us a story about they were flying on 53s to go. Maybe Aaron, maybe you know who they went in and got, but he was going in to go get somebody, and this is pre 2000 or I'm sorry, pre like 99 2000. And I guess the pilots wanted to turn back and they wanted to turn the whole package around and kind of leave this guy out there alone because the fire was too heavy. And as the TL, he was like, dude, I don't care what you do. We are getting in here. We are not turning this plane around or this helicopter around. We are going in there and we are getting this guy out. Again, he's telling this story at NDOC. So like I'm missing a lot of the details, and I hate that because I'm not doing Chief Bean justice.
Dude,
But
so I worked for Chief Bean. He was my commandant. I know this story cold. I've heard
oh,
this
okay.
story, like no, so the story is it wasn't on the Goldfein rescue. He was but he was in Bosnia. Like we were chasing essentially now like it's not anything classified or whatever, but we were basically chasing war criminals, right? So we were Bosnia, Herzegovina, and you would basically find these people that were international criminals. And that was part of the 321st STS mission back then. So they were flying around, and no kidding, there was an IP, and I don't know what country it was in, but they were in 253s, and they had a SAM that went in between both of the helicopters. So they were flying about a rotor disc apart, and the back ender described it as a telephone pole that was on fire at one end. That's what it looked like, and that's how close it was. So it split their formation, and the pilots genuinely freaking out, like no kidding, that's an emotional event. But the pilots basically were like, "Hey man, like I don't know if we can go in." And Robbie Bean in the back, he was a senior airman at the time. The only thing that he said, there was like this deafening quiet. The pilot's like, "I don't think we can do this. We can't go in here." And Robbie Bean just came over and he said, "That others may live." And then that was it. Nobody said another word, and they charged in. They were like, "All right, well, this is it. Like this is the job. So let's just go." But yeah, like that story. You're right. It epitomizes what this community is. Hey, sometimes you're gonna put the gloves on and you're gonna go to work. There's stuff that's happening, and I don't want to get on current events, but
Yeah.
some stuff has come out about current events where there's a lot of us on this side going, "How do you stand outside? What are you doing? Time to go." You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're looking for at ANS. We want those people that have that part of them that are just like, no, this is what the job is. So I don't know.
Yeah. I I was sitting here thinking about current events, and I'm like, all right, well, we probably shouldn't talk about.
I know. And
No,
I'll tell you what, man.
not that you did. I'm just saying, like,
I know,
I mean, that's a whole nother discussion that
dude. That's
we're
another
not allowed
3.
to have. We can have that, but we can't put it on YouTube.
I know. I know.
All right. So next question. Yeah, beef bayonet. We are going to get patches once we figure out our situation, but we've already got them designed and ready to go. Bryce Henry, seems like Aspect War guys have the knowledge to go towards a pilot route afterwards. Is that a possibility? Well, I mean, I can think of AT Addinger's an A-10 pilot right now. I was on team with 2 guys, 2 CCT that were, one went Navy F-18, the other one went Navy C-130. There's been a couple F-16 pilots that were PJs and controllers beforehand. Like, I mean,
I know 3 or 4 just off the top of my head, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking too hard. 3 guys that are flying helicopters right now in the Air Force that were started off
Yeah.
as PJs. So 2 guys that were
Yeah.
PJs, and then when he went and flew, the other PJ went and flew A-10s, but it's not AT, it's another A-10 pilot.
Yeah. And then like Barry Crawford, I don't even know what he is now, Major or whatever, the Air Force Cross. He was a stow. Then he went to fly F-16s and now flies A-10s. So yeah, it's very doable. Okay. Does the Air Force have programs for service members transitioning out to get contracting jobs or opportunities elsewhere in the government? Do AFSOF contract a lot? Man, I think so. What I would say is probably the SkillsBridge is one of the things that it's a program that the DoD has where if I'm getting out, whether I'm separating or I'm retiring, and there's certain gates of time that you have to do this, in and that kind of stuff. But like being here in Vegas or being up in Seattle or near Seattle, where I was and where Aaron is, like you could go work for Amazon, Starbucks. You can work for Trent could go work for like the San Antonio Spurs or something like that. Like they have programs for troops to whatever transitioning out, and you can go intern for them for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. It's no more than 6 months, but you're still getting paid by the Air Force or the DoD, and it's a way to help you transition out of the military. And it's a phenomenal program. I don't know anybody that has done it that has said, "Man, I wish I never did this." Okay.
Nailed it.
Right.
All right.
Great
Cool.
job.
Great.
Big gulps, huh?
Yeah. Okay. My beekeeper hat is next level. Oh, sorry. Every time somebody chats, it scrolls. So I got a high score on my ASVAB, and I go to MEPS on Tuesday. What medical factors? Man, we can't answer that. Sorry. How much Zone 2 are y'all doing as current operators as prescribed by Starch's Zone 2 crew? I do more Zone 2 than I used to, for sure. Ever since having him on the podcast, I have changed my outlook on fitness a lot. Now, I couldn't tell you how many hours I'm doing, but I definitely enjoy going out for runs, doing a Zone 2 versus going out and crushing myself in a Zone 4, Zone 5.
Yeah, I've included it a lot, even just like 30 to 50 minutes of maybe breathing heavy, maybe not, like getting a sweat by the end of it, but really that Zone 2, Zone 3 kind of area, like that has changed how I feel overall, like my mobility, my durability, like how my body feels. Like my cardio is really good through the roof. So and then rolling and stuff has been fantastic, so it's been good.
Well, and I think for someone that's just beginning, like if you are not a runner and you start running and you're trying to run a 6 or 7 minute pace, like out the gate, without building up that Zone 2 baseline, that cardio aerobic baseline, you're gonna either break yourself or you're gonna end up hating running and just being like, I'm not a runner. When people say stupid stuff like that, well, I'm not a runner. Like if you start off doing the zone 2 stuff and really build up your big aerobic baseline, like you will get faster and you won't develop those like mental blocks to your, aerobic conditioning.
Yep. It's it kind of goes back to that, hey, little victories, if you go out and you're crushing yourself and you plan to go on a 4-mile run, but you're crushing yourself so much that you're like, you just can't go on, that's a loss, because I was only able to knock out 2 miles instead of my prescribed 4 miles. It's a loss, basically. Trent, do we have any SR in the guard?
Yep. I think someone answered that in there.
Oh, my bad. Yep. Well, I'm going to go down to the bottom then.
Down to the bottom. There's some really bad questions at the bottom.
What's the day-to-day like? Yes!
Nice.
I've been waiting for that one.
Good.
It's good. It's good. I get my schedule from my boss and just execute, every day. It's
apparently there's another Discord message question. Ooh, here we go. Can you elaborate on what CCTs do? I know you do land survey with soil, drop zones, and some SR. Is there any other things that we do? Yeah. I mean, we have the Joint Terminal Attack Controller mission, right? We have your normal shoot, move, communicate. Yeah, we have the assault zones, doing drop zones, landing zones, helicopter zones, for arming and refueling operations. We'll go out into islands. Like there's an island out in, I forget where it is, but like we were landing C-130s on the beach.
The ocean.
Yeah.
Hey,
it was important to know what the tide was, but yeah.
That new C-130 coming out, gonna land just in the middle of the ocean, dog.
Just motion,
like DuckTales. It's gonna be hot.
Yeah, so it's all kind of stuff like that. And then if we're not on an airfield and we don't have aircraft overhead, and say we're on some kind of personnel recovery mission, then you better believe that a controller is going to get tasked, or SR or TACP is going to get tasked with getting on the jaws of life, the huli tool, lift bags. Hey, this guy needs to be carried over to some place, to a casualty collection point. Like there are a lot of things that we do that, like, that's why it's funny when we talk to Chief Simsaf Bass and other leadership about the multi-capable airmen. It's like, dude, we've been doing this stuff for years, and you should never, and I just say never, hear a controller, PJ, SR, and aspect war say that's not my job, because I don't really give a shit if it's your job or not. Like it needs, if the work needs to be done, you do the work. Damn it.
Damn.
Dude. Knife around it.
Oh yeah, there was another one on. Let's see here.
Yeah, shout out to the Discord bros coming up with the world's most fire memes and videos. You guys are crushing it. Very hard.
All the stuff we can't share.
This is an interesting one. Since Aaron's the music connoisseur, like if Fortunate Son was kind of the dubbed song for Vietnam, what would be ours for GWAT?
That's a great question. Like, what do you hear? Yeah, like in like 20 years, like what do we look back and you every single like GWAT rolling up to some compound in the middle of the desert has this music behind it. Like, I wonder what that would be. Like Kryptonite by 3 Doors Down. I don't know.
Let the Bodies Hit the Floor was early GWAT.
Perfect.
And like Schism by Tool was in every playlist on every video.
Yeah, our pre-mission song in Iraq was "Hurt" by Johnny Cash, because that's how sad we were just every single day, just doing stuff.
So good.
Yeah, I remember when Dope came out with that Die MF or Die. That was a heavy one.
I can still see that video in my head.
Yeah, but you're right though. 20 years. I mean, the genre of music has changed a lot. So that was probably, that three doors down and that kind of stuff was big in the early days. But now, never know. It could be freaking
Lil
bad and
Durk,
bougie or something. I don't know.
bad and bougie. Yikes! Tell me you don't listen to rap music without telling me you don't listen to rap music. My dude.
You
You don't want me
you
to
walk
do
in-
any kind of 1738 or anything like that?
Jeez. 17.
Yeah.
Fetty Wap.
mostly EDM at
That's
the
a Fetty Wap.
RTOs.
38 Fetty Wap, man. I'm gonna keep my eye on you, Peaches. Get it? Because Fetty Wap's got one eye. How about that for a
So,
joke, you comedian lovers?
Jericho, is it possible to obtain a college education while on active duty as aspect war? And
No.
if so, how difficult is it?
I'm just saying no from now on.
So we just did it. We just released a reel on this. I know I got a bachelor's. I know a couple people that have got a master's. I know FR commented and said, I think he's got like 2 masters.
He is something ridiculous.
That's,
yeah.
But
Yeah, you can. The world really is your oyster on this one. If you want to get advanced degrees, it's on you. It's like, how hard are you going to work? How are you going to prioritize it? Like, how are you going to fit it into everything else? Everybody has hobbies. If your hobby is school, or if you want to get some advanced degree, go for it. Like, we will support you the whole way.
Yep. All right. I'm going to go back to YouTube now. Peaches, I'm so down with the youth. I know. What is that, Steve Buscemi? Hey, kids. Hey, cool kids.
Hello, fellow teenagers.
Yeah,
I
there
love
you go.
how you didn't even know the meme. Like, I love it so much. Like, that's the
So
most
down with
meta.
the youth.
So down with the youth. It's like the most meta joke of all time. Peaches messing up the meme about an old guy trying to fit in with young guys. Hilarious.
Oh boy. Hey, Aaron, since you are now assumed a new role as an op soup, and you're still at an operational unit, how with all the different variables that you have in your life at work, how are you able to maintain currency with everything that you have?
You don't. You know what I mean? Like, it is a struggle for us. Like, a good thing for my specific job is that, I value presence over policy, right? Like, I don't want to tell people to do stuff if I don't understand what you're doing, at the tactical level, I'm gonna have no idea how to help you out, right? Like, if I'm not there with you, on the range when the range guy comes up and gives you crap about a piece of paper that you forgot to file with him, and he talks about turning your whole thing off, like, unless I understand those problems are there, I can't get ahead of them and fix them. So it's a lot more free for me to go out and like get on actual training and stuff, but there's no way I'm maintaining currency in any real sense. You know what I mean? It's hard enough for me to maintain, jump currencies. I'm going diving next week to rehack my currency there. So it's hard, but that's not my primary duty. I think J Mac talked about it the best when he would talk about, kind of crows and that quick transition off the teams and into another job. Like, it's not my job to maintain not only currency but proficiency in every single thing that I do, because that's what we're asking of the E5s, of the E6s, the guys that are on the team getting ready to go deploy right now. Like, that's their job. I need to be on my game, but I don't need to be on my game like that in that sense. I have other things that I need to be 100% focused on, or they'll fail. And if I fail, then, there's a possibility of like bigger failures happening. So I take that seriously. But short story, I get by on my currency just enough for people not to yell at me and for me to be safe. So like, jumping, JM, diving, all that stuff, I stay current and safe on that. And then outside of that, it's a hit or miss game at this point, sadly, but is what it is.
It's the reality of it. Trent, this dude, he's got a really long name, but he says aspect war recruiter failed him during his IFT. Do you think they try and fail people to see how much conviction you have?
No. That is prevalent. I'm not going to say that that's not what happened. I wasn't there, obviously. But you probably just failed there, homie.
Yep. I mean,
once you get into the pipeline, you get only so many chances once you get in, and there's a lot more thrown at you, and you still have to pass. So That's a kind of an, there's a giant a-hole, but maybe maybe not. So maybe just get way better at the IFT so you don't have to worry about it later on.
Yeah, I mean this goes right back into the hey, um, like you should be exceeding the IFT on days that you've already trained. You're tired. You're malnourished, because there are times where you will get a couple of reps on pull-ups or push-ups taken away because you think that you have met the, whatever, you think you've gotten your chin above the bar, where again you haven't, and you're smoked, and now you just got another rep taken away from you. So it's one of those things. But no, we need people. I don't see a recruiter going out there and do that.
Well, and you have to ask the question, if we had filmed it, would you still be comfortable asking that question? Because if you film and we film ourselves doing a number of different things in the community because it's different. You think you did something when you didn't do something. Like maybe film yourself doing all these things so you can know for sure whether or not you're passing yourself. Like stop putting it on your recruiter. Put a little bit more of that onus on yourself, and can you produce video evidence that shows that you actually passed or crushed it?
Yeah. Man, there are two really good questions that I think could get some good conversation over. So this is from I don't know if JF Mac is J Mac or if it's just JF Mac, but how often do you guys run into conflict with other operators? As in, do you find yourselves having to assert your dominance? Boy, that depends on who you ask. So for me, like if I like to think I'm a pretty relaxed guy. I still lose my temper occasionally, but I'm a pretty relaxed guy. But you will 100% find dudes that are out in the career field that can't stand me. They hate my guts. And that's not for anything that I've done to them or anything like that. But you will find people out there that absolutely loathe me. And that's fine, because, I'm not fans of every single person either. Now, being able to put that aside and go like, hey man, if that dude needs something, I am still going to help him or her out. Like I'm not just totally writing them off. They are still, I don't know. It sounds real cliche, but they're still my brothers. But like, you know what I mean? Like I'm still going to help them out. And that's not necessarily saying that they would help me out, but I don't know, man. There's a lot of, I don't say there's a lot of conflict, but there's a good amount of it.
We have like a hugely diverse population of dudes. I mean, like every single end of the spectrum that you can imagine of every single thing, right? Like guys that are dyed in the wool, like democratic liberals that really do believe like the whole ideology thing, like it is not a joke. Like that is their thing. All the way to guys that are super conservative, or dudes that build their own everything, like literal woodworking, and made their own house and have chickens and stuff. And other guys that are not like that at all. Like of course there's going to be clashes and differences and stuff, but in the end, like the best guys to do it really just realize like, hey, this is a work thing. Like I don't think you're a bad person. You're a person with a bad idea on this one, and we can disagree with each other, and we can whatever, but still in the end, like you're way closer to that person's still an operator, like whether they're a PJ or a SR guy or a controller or a stow, or I'm way more like them than everybody else in society. Like we see more eye to eye. No matter how different we are, we see more eye to eye than almost everybody out there, because they were all looking for the same thing in you and me at A&S. Like that's what the shared experience of A&S is like, I may not know you, but I know at least what you're about. I know that you can do these things, and I know what kind of person it takes to do these things, because I want to be that person, So of course you're going to have conflict, but and dudes do not like each other. I tell this story all the time because I love him. Old Rybo. I've known him my entire career. Ryan looked at me one time and was like, Aaron, I don't like you at all. I'm never going to have a beer with you, but I don't mind working with you. And I'm like, fair enough, man. I don't like you either. And we've maintained that relationship. I have more love in my heart for that guy than a lot of people, but we're not friends. Like we still get on each other's nerves, and it's mostly my fault.
The other question I said was good is from Troy Nielsen. Best way to help your family feel loved when you were gone. I remember listening to the podcast, and you guys said that you were roughly gone 200 plus days out of the year. Is this still the case? Yeah, it's totally still the case, even without deployments. But, I mean, Trent had freaking family, or, his wife was gone. Aaron was deployed, so his fiance was left back, and here I am sitting. Was not deployed this last time, but I'll keep significant other names out of it. But like Aaron or Trent could call me up and go like, "Hey, a tree fell and busted the fence." Okay, cool. We'll take care of it. Like you don't need to go pay somebody to have a stump removal of this. It's just too freaking big that we can't handle it, which is, whatever. But yeah, man, we help each other out when we're gone, even if it's not a deployment. Nothing to add.
I'm afraid to answer this
Okay.
question. Like I don't like personal relationship advice thing, but I'm going to.
Nice.
It's just like anything else. When you join the pipeline and you make like a 4-6 year commitment or whatever else, if you're in personal relationships and you have long-term commitments, like you need to treat it that way. I know it's kind of cliche for older guys to be like, hey, like the like honeymoon phase wears off and all this other stuff, but like if you've been putting your work into that relationship, like your career and everything else, it's easier to maintain. But if you're just, I think it's a harder for guys. Like if you get married and then you're out the door, and you come back and you're in that like weird in between phase. Things can be difficult, but just be as honest as you can and don't change things that you don't have to change, and don't bring the worst parts of work home with you.
Yeah.
Crushed.
And don't let Aaron come over to your house.
Don't. No, I only cause problems. I know it seems like a good idea because I show up with tacos, but there's usually like a bottle of like tequila or something involved, and then it's just because it's downhill from there. I accept that.
Trent, this one's for you, like specifically.
Great. What?
Are there people out there being controlled by lifeguards, not letting them try to drown themselves? What would you tell these future men and women? Basically, are there lifeguards out there that are not at pools that are not letting people do underwater subsurface stuff?
Yeah, some pools have rules about it. We used to use
Yeah.
an off-base pool at in Mississippi when our folks would all go to Keesler, and we'd go to the natatorium over there, and you can't do underwaters at the natatorium if there's just lifeguards there, or that they did not appreciate that unless there was a military instructor there taking responsibility for those students, because lifeguards are trained to a certain level, and that building or that gym has insurance that probably doesn't cover all that stuff, and they have rules. So if 18-year-old 150-pound chucklehead goes in there and starts trying to kill themselves, their side where it's going to end poorly. And if you're in there every day, they're probably going to be like, hey, dude, stop.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
a lifeguard that's cool with it, or talk to the owner or the establishment or whatever you got to do, but that you have to overcome.
Yeah. But any kind of subsurface stuff, if you can't get a lifeguard to watch you, like no kidding, keep eyes on you, just do it with a buddy. Because believe it or not, I have passed out, not being at NDOC, not being at dive school, just doing stupid stuff in the pool, and I catch myself doing the funky chicken. Yeah, and next thing you know, I'm being brought up, and it's like, what happened?
Fantastic. The hilarious hijinks and death-defying antics never stop.
Yeah, exactly. Let me check Discord real quick. And other than that, I think we're okay. This is a good one that we'll end on from Discord. What is our favorite WaterCon event to torture cones with? Trent, we'll start with you first.
Go ahead, Trent. I got the one.
I've never tortured a cone in my life. All right, this is training, and it's incredibly professional, and I'm hurt by the assertions.
You're not even doing a good job defending it.
But yeah, flooded mask, flutter kicks out on the pool deck.
Really interesting.
I mean, you could, because they're not in the water. You can see it. It's a lot of fun. You can watch the panic rise in people.
You get to fill it back up with the hose. That's great. You always get to be like, "Oh, what happened? Where'd your water go?" And you get to like change up what you're saying. It's a good one.
You can say you're welcome and you fill it back up if they drink it. You know, because all you're doing is helping them out. It's
there you go.
It appeals to my sarcastic side.
I do like the jamming the hose in the mask and just leaving it there, and it's just. Yeah,
especially waterboarding students. That's what Trent likes. Trent likes waterboarding students, is what he said out loud to everybody on this thing. My favorite exercise.
So I can actually tell some stories someday.
My favorite exercise to make people do is the doom up. So it's like the sit up. You have a buddy that's holding your legs on, and you basically do a sit up to where your shoulder blades touch the side of the pool, so you're completely upside down. There's no way not to get, and so basically you get given the command of go. And you're all the way down, and you touch the wall, and you don't go until the instructor says up, and your partner basically will tap your knee. Now, I will tell you something. You want to see two dudes fight on a pool deck? Be a half a second late with that tap. Be the words coming out of the instructor's mouth. The instructor would purposely be quiet, and the only thing he would say is up. The second that you heard the very first millisecond of I was tapping. I'm like, get up. You will see I've seen people come to blows over getting like sitting up out of the water, be like, everybody else was up before me, bro. How about you get on the tap? It is hilarious. The other reason why I like it is because when the students are down and they put their back against the wall, as an instructor, if you go subsurface, you can go right up to their nose and you take your hand and you go like this, and it forces water in their nose, and it is the most uncomfortable. Your forehead is on fire, just burning because of pool water being shoved in your nose, and you're holding your breath upside down while some bro holds your legs. It is absolutely, one, it's ridiculous that we do it. Two, it's the worst.
Like the subsurface waterboarding, I prefer.
That's basically the difference.
All I heard.
You're right.
Yeah. Peaches.
And I'm gonna steal this from Tony Alexander. Is you have your rectangular pool, and you take PVC pipe and you put at four corners. So there's only a small triangle that you can get up, and you put cones in each single, trainees in each one of those corners, and the motion is clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever. And then every time they say go, you have to go subsurface, and you have to go to the other corner. Generally, there's a lot of bodies there, though, and you get somebody that instead of going to the far end of the triangle to get air, they pop up and they're blocking it. So you're trying to get up there.
Tactical courtesy, people. Tactical courtesy.
Exactly.
Let the 2-man come in the door behind you. Clear out of his way, please. Thank you.
Yes, because my man needs air too, right? So, that one, and who knows how long that goes on for, but I personally don't like that one, but that one is fun to watch people do. Same with 10-ups. I don't like 10-ups either, but
I actually like 10-ups. If you're going to ask me my favorite one to do, 10-ups. It's a push-up, and then you jump in really far, and then you just swim underwater. It's not that hard. Like, people think it's like the worst, and it could be fun. Like, if your team just decides that they're going to have fun during 10-ups, it's fun, because then you're like pulling your buddy across the pool, like the high side and the low side are helping each other. It actually works pretty well once you just get into it.
Man, you're giving away all the secrets, but yeah, Chris Trisco used to freaking, when we'd dive in, he'd pull each other.
That's it. You'd get that little push. It was money.
Chris has like a Santa Claus beard now. I forget who told me that.
Oh yeah,
he does. Yeah, he does. So, all right. Go for it.
Just gonna talk about 10-ups. If there's no sharks in the water, it's really not. It's not that. Like, I was just gonna say, I agree with Aaron, because it's one of those things where psychologically it's a lot worse, I think, than the actual exercise. And we used to do tests where we'd be screaming at the students and they'd be doing 10-ups. They'd be popping all over the place. And then we'd get quiet and have them do the exact same thing. And all of a sudden, no one's popping, you know? So, like, it's one of those things where when external factors get to your head and starts burning out your O2, whether for real or just in your head, then things get crazy real fast.
Yep. Yeah, I sit on like 10-ups. You guys can talk to me about all day long, but when on a normal underwater, it takes 12 strokes to get to the other side. Yeah, so a 10-up still takes me like 8 or 9, even with a nice like pull.
One body length in when you jump, then it's
one peaches, one unit of peach.
That's why whenever we do the push-ups, if I'm doing the push-ups instead of the kind of like slide in, I definitely try to put a foot up there to like launch myself.
Oh yeah, yep. That's the move.
So, all right. Appreciate everybody joining us. If this was boring to you, hey, sorry. Like that's just the way it is. So you can tune into a different podcast.
What a fantastic!
Do we have any suggestions for like entertaining podcasts? Or
I just saw somebody
podcast.
I just saw somebody go, "This is boring as shit. I'm out of here."
Sorry. All right, cool. Well, you didn't have to stay.
I'm
Sorry.
okay with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
What a
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to watch, man.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm bored as shit. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Beat it, nerd.
Oh.
All right, but for real though, thanks for joining us. Shout out to the Discord guys for suggesting this. I know they're actually on right now chatting. So thanks to you guys out there. Again, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave comments, reviews, whatever, and we'll let you guys know when the store opens back up. And next release I think is this Saturday. So, and we have Sauce Tea coming on tomorrow. We're going to record with Sauce Tea, so that'll be out in a couple of weeks. Then we've got a Stowe coming on to talk about ROTC stuff, and then we have Dutch, who's a prior CAG dude, coming on, and I think we got a couple others. But yeah,
Predator, right? Dutch?
Yes.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
CIA's got you pushing too many fences.
They're pulling 24-inch arms. Oh.
All right. I'm going to cut the stream. You guys have a good one out there.
Get out of here. Oh, man.